Hello, welcome to the Hawaii Association for College Admission Counseling Virtual College Fair. Thank you for joining us for this session, which is Understanding Financial Aid Letters and Extenuating Financial Circumstances. Just a few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenter at any time. Your cameras and microphones are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, including 6x6 college fairs coming up in about an hour and a half. So make sure you sign up for those sessions if you have not done so already at the same place you signed up for this one. And this presentation is being recorded. It'll be available within about a week at strivescan.com/Hawaii. Now that I've gotten all the housekeeping stuff out of the way, I will step out of the way and turn it over to our presenter. Thank you for joining us.
Well, good morning in Hawaii. Aloha. My name is Corinne Schell, and I am Director of West Coast Admission at Marist College. I am a Marist grad. My husband, son, daughter, sister, niece, nephew, twin nieces. So needless to say, I'm a little passionate about Marist and all that it has to offer. And I will be at the college fair today, so hopefully I have the opportunity to meet some of you. And we actually have quite a large number of students that attend Marist from Hawaii. So I'm very, very fond of my Hawaii students. So basically today, what I'd like to do is just kind of talk to you about the financial aid packages that seniors in high school are starting to receive so that you can kind of figure out what you're looking at and how to decipher what the different schools are providing you with in regards to financial aid. And you have to be very, very careful because, as you know, over the course of this year, and if you're not a senior, you're going to hear the word depends and fit. It's a academic fit for the student, not the parents. And a lot of times we have to remind the parents that. But it is a financial fit for the parent as well as the student. So I really encourage students and their parents to kind of meet up and have that chat about financing the student's education. Because again, it is a really difficult subject to talk about. And if you don't understand what it is that you're looking at, it makes it that much more difficult. So my goal today is to kind of work that out with you. So understanding financial aid packages, it's the financial aid award packages explains how much money in the form of free money, which is financially need-based grants and or merit-based scholarships, which you don't have to apply for financial aid. But if you do apply for financial aid, more than likely that merit-based scholarship will be included in that financial aid package. Loans and work opportunity, which is considered self-help. And no matter what, you will always have that in your financial aid package if you have financial need. So it's really just those three components. So again, understanding what you're looking at and reading is, important. And every one of our schools has a different title for it, whether it is a financial aid package, if it's I think on my next slide, I have the FAFSA award letter, financial aid package, financial aid offer. But again, it's all really the same. So again, the award letter is a notification that you will receive as a student, informing you of how much financial aid a college or university will be providing you for the coming up year. Now, the award letter package, however it wants to be called, we'll have several things that you'll notice on it. So one is the cost of attendance, which is your non-billable cost and your billable cost. So tuition, fees, room and board are the billable cost. But we also include in there non-billable cost, which are books, personal, and travel. And the reason why we come up with that kind of cost of attendance is because we want to make sure that you're receiving as much financial aid as possible, and it gives you a true number of what it's going to cost to go to that school. Because even though you're receiving a bill that lists tuition, fees, room and board, you also have to buy books, You also have to get back and forth to the school that you're going to be attending. What about snacks or going to the movies, those extra? What about supplies? Maybe you need a new laptop. Maybe you are a science student that has a lot of lab cost, or you're an art student and you have to purchase all these art supplies. So again, the cost of attendance is a much more true indicator of what it's going to cost to attend that particular school. Now, mind you, every one of our schools will have a different cost of attendance. You've got 2-year, 4-year, public, private, international, domestic, non-denominational, religious school. We all cost different amounts. So again, every one of our schools will have a different cost of attendance. We're all different. And that's where you hear that word depends, because it depends on what school you're looking at, what their cost of attendance will be. So on that award letter, financial aid award letter, FAFSA award letter, financial aid package, you will have, again, the cost of attendance. You'll also have grants, which are funded through both federal, there could be Hawaii state grants that are offered to students, because most students or most states will have a state grant, which keeps the students in that state to go to school. And it's for students who live in that particular state, attending the school in that state. If you go out of state, then unfortunately that grant traditionally does not follow you. And so grants funded by federal, state, and of course the school. And as I mentioned before, your scholarship, which could be funded by the federal, state, or school as well. Loans, which are funded by the federal government or the school. Work study, which is the federal work study, which is funded by the school in combination with resources provided by, or the federal government with resources provided by the school as well. And on that also will be the student's expected family contribution. And the expected family contribution is also known as the EFC. So when you complete the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, you and your parent are going to provide a large amount of information. And the government's going to take that, they're going to calculate it, and they are going to determine what it is they feel that you can afford to pay for school. Now, some of our schools meet a student's financial need 100%, other schools don't. And I'll talk a little bit more about that down the road. So how you figure out what your financial need is, you have the cost of attendance, otherwise known as that COA, tuition, fees, room, board, books, personal travel, minus that expected family contribution, which is determined by you and your parent completing that FAFSA. They'll figure out what your expected family contribution is. So they'll deduct that from the cost of attendance. So if my school costs $60,000 a year to attend, and you've completed the FAFSA, and the government said you can afford $20,000, they will subtract that $20,000 from our overall cost of attendance, which gives you a financial need of $40,000. That's what you'll see on the award letter. And then award letters, you have to remember, is for 1 year. Every year you have to reapply for financial aid at the particular school that you're going to attend. And then if you're going to continue to apply for federal aid in the form of need-based grants, Stafford loan, and or work opportunity, you do have to complete the FAFSA. So again, I've already explained this cost of attendance, which is the estimate, tuition fees, room, board, books, personal travel, which is consists of the billable and non-billable costs. So again, when you receive your bills to attend the school you will be going to, you will see those billable costs. You will not see the non-billable costs, but again, you're going to have to buy books and you're going to have personal expenses and travel. And then again, that family contribution. So in the award letter, again, they'll have what your financial need is. And it's determined by subtracting that expected family contribution from the COA. And as I stated, if my school is $60,000, the government says you can afford $20,000, your need is $40,000. And my suggestion is make sure that when you're completing the FAFSA, you're doing it on time, you're following deadlines for each particular school, because you do not want to miss out. And again, gift aid doesn't have to be paid back. And who doesn't want free money? Everybody does. And then work study programs provide students with part-time jobs on campus. Now, I do hear quite often a parent say, I don't want my student working because I want them to focus on their schoolwork. And I kind of don't agree with that, because I think it does a lot of different things for students. It provides them with a paycheck. They're meeting people because they're working in some office on campus, whether it's the library, the athletic department, they can be a tour guide in the admissions office. And they really do learn how to time manage. If they have to work 2 hours on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which is a total of 6, and they've got classes, they've got some type of clubs and organizations that they belong to, they're planning out their days. If a student does not get involved and only goes to class, they tend to procrastinate. Next thing you know, they have a 10-page paper due tomorrow, which they haven't started. And then the last piece would be the student loans. And the award letters will provide you with information on how to go about students applying for the loan, and what forms are going to be needed to be completed in order for them to move further with it. So questions to think about. Now, in the terms of your scholarships, will the scholarship be renewed every year? Traditionally, students, our school, my school, Marist, we're a semester school. So an incoming student does not have to, number one, apply for a scholarship or merit-based or academic. It's automatically in their acceptance letter if they're eligible. So they don't have to do anything. They don't have to complete a separate form. So you need to check the other schools to see if they do require that. And students can renew every semester as long as they maintain full-time status of 12 credits and maintain a certain grade point average, which is at Marist 2.850. So if a student falls below that 2.850, then unfortunately they would not receive it for that next semester. However, we do provide a 1-semester grace period, which allows students to maintain it while their grade is below the required GPA. However, the next semester, if it's still below, then they will lose it for that semester. And once they bring it back up to the required 2.850, then it will be reinstated. So you want to find out about that. If a student comes in with, say, a $20,000 scholarship for academics or merit, you want to find out, can that be increased over the course of the next couple of years? Some schools will do it, some won't, but you won't know unless you ask. And again, what are your responsibilities to maintain it? So you need to find out what the requirements are for the scholarship. Now, if you go to a school and they give you a scholarship and you decide in your junior year that you're going to change your major, now it's going to take you an extra year. You want to find out if they're going to give it to you for that extra year. Some schools will, some schools won't, but you won't know again until you ask. In regards to the loan, find out what the interest rate is. It has been going down over the past couple of years. How soon will repayment begin after you leave school, or which is fall below 6 credits, graduate, or withdraw? And then when will interest begin accruing, the length of the repayment, and what will your monthly payments be? So these are kind of questions that you can ask the financial aid office. And then here, the work study program, the last piece. What jobs are available? I know at Marist we have a job fair the very first week of school for students that had federal work study. And they meet with the different departments. They have a resume. They're filling out an application to apply for a job. So it's just as if they were looking for a job outside of school. What's involved with getting accepted into the work study program? What are the how much do they receive per hour? What are the hourly work requirements? And are the jobs just on campus, or are they both on campus and off campus? So again, it's going to depend on the school that you're looking at. So make sure that you ask. Now, please remember, if you have federal work study in your financial aid package, that is not money that comes off the student's bill. It's an allocation that the student can earn over the course of the year. It does not miraculously turn into a loan or a grant if the student doesn't work. It's just an allocation that's available for you to work. And traditionally, they range allocations anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a year. And students typically work anywhere from 2 hours a week. The max would be at our school 20 hours a week, but there are not very many students that are working 20 hours a week. Their purpose is to be at school to learn, not to be working, but students need jobs and we need help in our offices. So it's a perfect win-win situation. So now here for financial aid, when you get your financial aid award letters, I would suggest that you lay them out in front of you. And again, all of them will have the cost of attendance, your expected family contribution, and they will show you your financial need. And I'll show you a couple of examples a little bit later. So you want to lay them all out and then kind of look and see, well, it cost $20,000 to go here. It costs $40,000 to go to school B, and it costs $60,000 to go to school C. Now, remember, all of those costs of attendance are different because we're all different. But that family contribution is remaining the same no matter what school you're looking at. So the school that costs $20,000, if your EFC, expected family contribution, were $20,000, you wouldn't be entitled to any need-based financial aid. However, you can still get an unsubsidized Stafford loan, and the difference between the need-based one and the unsub is that students are responsible for the interest payments on that loan while they're in school. So, and the need-based one, the government will pay the interest while students are in school. But you can still get a scholarship if you're eligible. You can still work on campus. It just wouldn't be federal work study. It would be campus employment. And you can take out the loan. So you still can get financial aid. The $40,000 a year school, you subtract that expected family contribution of $20,000, gives you a need of $40,000 or $20,000. So you'll get the package, which may include your merit-based or academic scholarship, need-based grant, need-based loan, and work study. The $60,000 one would be $20,000 from that would be $40,000. So your financial need is $40,000. Again, you'll have your merit-based or academic scholarship if you're eligible, need-based grant, need-based loan, and need-based work study, federal work study. However, another thing you need to be asking the schools, because again, we're all different, is that school going to meet your financial need 100%? Some will, some won't. So you need to be prepared for that as well. So again, you're going to take those costs of attendance and then subtract all of the financial aid. Disregard the EFC, even though it'll be on there. And you'll see the grants, they'll be labeled as grants. The scholarship will be labeled as a scholarship. And remember, that's free money that does not have to be paid back. If you receive any federal grants, that will also be noted. The loan will be on there, and the work opportunity will be on there. So you're going to take the entire amount minus the work study if it's there, and you're going to subtract that from the total cost of attendance, which will then give you a much more truer reflection of what the bottom line will be that you are responsible for. So that will be on it. And hence my third bullet, amount you are expected to pay towards the cost of attending the school. Once you've determined what it is that you plan to do, then follow the instructions on the financial aid award letter to accept the financial aid package, because you have to accept or decline on these packages. No matter what schools you're looking at, you have to do it. And then please be aware of deadlines. It's imperative that you, if you're going to that particular school, you have to remember deadlines. If you miss a deadline, then unfortunately you miss the deadline. I remember I was at a college fair and it was in the spring, And of course, around this time, students are getting excited about where they're going to be attending school, and they're going to enroll. And I was at this college fair, and this young man came up to the school that was next to me, and he had a grin on his face from ear to ear, happy, excited. And now he told the college rep that he was going to go there. He was mailing in his deposit or sending in the deposit. And he asked about scholarships. And the woman said, "Did you apply for one?" And he looked at her like, "What are you talking about?" And they both realized at the same time that he didn't apply for one, and that school required students to apply. So again, you want to make sure that you follow the deadlines. And also reach out to the financial aid office and ask if there's anything else that needs to be done in order to make sure that you're securing the financial aid that you would like. Also, another big thing, especially with the pandemic, and parents have maybe possibly lost a job, have been furloughed, hours have been cut, salaries been reduced, and it's been really, really tough. However, financial aid is based upon tax return information. So if you want the financial aid offices to take a look at, reevaluate your financial aid package based upon one of those scenarios, you have to write a letter to each of the schools that you're looking at and ask them to revise the package based upon the following information. And that's when you're going to list the loss of a job, cut of hours, just furloughed, any of the circumstances you would want to list out on this particular letter. And then the colleges and universities will be the ones to revise your aid package. The federal government will not. So it does not help you to send a letter to the federal government. They're just looking at everything from your tax return. What it was is what it is. And it's the schools that will make the revisions. So you need to do that for each and every one. Yes, you can use the same letter, but make sure that you change the name of the school in each of the letters, because you don't want, if you're looking at Vassar, you're looking at Marist, and you send Vassar, "Okay, Marist College, appreciate it if you could do this, blah, blah, blah," but you sent it to the wrong school. So just make sure that it coincides with the school that you want to send it to. So that's that. And then I do want to bring up, where is it? Here it is. Nope. Bear with me for a moment while I look for it. Okay. All right, let me look again. I have a couple of admission. Okay, let me show all windows what I got here. Here it is. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. So this is one of the financial aid packages. And again, it's just fictitious. It's not a particular school. But again, every one of the formats that you're going to receive a financial aid package, award letter, is going to be different. So, and again, we are required to put the cost of attendance, so every one of our schools will have it. So in this particular case, you've got the estimated cost of attendance, hence the word estimated, because a lot of schools, when you're receiving this, have not yet officially determined what the actual cost will be, but they tend to be pretty close to the number. So for this student, their expected family contribution was $2,000 by filling out the FAFSA. So tuition and fees is $51,438. Room and board is $14,736. Now, books, supplies, transportation, and personal expenses, again, those are non-billable. So when the student gets their financial or their bill, this is what they're going to see. And it's going to probably be broken down by semesters, because I know for us, we go by semesters, and we'll do the initial award letter based upon year, but you'll be able to see the breakdown of the semesters. So this school's total EFC, or total cost of attendance, is $69,474, so close to $70,000. Now, the student is eligible for a Pell Grant, which is a federal grant for students that are economically disadvantaged. And that student is eligible for $29.70 during the year. But they're also giving this student from the school a President's Scholarship totaling $61,000 and $61,052. So the total grant that the student is going to be receiving is $64,022. Remember, that does not have to be paid back, but more than likely the student has to maintain a certain GPA and full-time status in order to renew the scholarship. So the net price after that is estimated $54.52. Now they're also providing the student with self-help, which is in the form of work. So the student is eligible for $24.50 over the course of the year to work. And then the remaining cost is $3,002. But remember, work study does not come off the student's bill. And then the next one, this is more closer to what you'll probably see from a lot of our schools. So here, estimated cost of attendance at the top of the page is $55,000. Tuition and fees are $39,000. Housing and room and board is $13,000. And then here's the non-billable, which are the books and supplies and personal miscellaneous, which is $3,000. Again, the student will see a bill for the 39 and the 13, so $52,000 a year to go to this particular school. Now, here are their awards. And then the first one is a presidential scholarship totaling $20,000 a year. And remember, I said you have to accept or decline? Well, there's the column that the student would do it in. And most of these are completely online now. And then they break it out into the fall and the spring semester. Now, the student is also eligible for that federally funded Pell Grant, which does not have to be paid back, which is for economically disadvantaged students. And then they're also eligible for the SEOG, which is also for students that are they're economically disadvantaged students. But in order to qualify for that, you have to be a Pell Grant recipient. Now, if every one of the students in our schools were Pell Grant recipients, they would all get it. However, SEOG is a supplement. So each school is given a certain amount of money that they can contribute or give to the students to help. But once that money runs out, it runs out. But now that I'm telling you this, if your student is eligible for a Pell Grant and you don't see SEOG, you can reach out to financial aid and ask them if the student is possibly eligible to receive some form of SEOG, which is a supplemental grant. And the answer will be either, well, let's see what we can do, or unfortunately, our resources are depleted. Now, the student is eligible for a state scholarship. And again, scholarships don't have to be paid back, but depending on the state, they do have requirements that students can only get it for a certain amount of semesters or years or trimesters or quarters. Now, they're also giving the student federal work study for $3,000 a year. Again, it does not come off the bill. They're giving the student a Perkins loan, which is run through the school, but it's a federal loan for $2,500. And then the student, again, this is for a freshman, $3,500 subsidized Stafford loan and $2,000 unsubsidized Stafford loan. So that's a total of financial aid of $34,100. So then what you would do is you would take the estimated cost, that 55,000, and subtract out the total here. And then that gives you your need. But don't forget, you're really looking at 52,000. And then you're looking at what, 31,100 because the work study does not come off the bill. So that's basically the presentation. What else did I want to, again, each one of the schools are going to have, they're all different. The formats are going to be different. The layout, schools' policies and available resources will impact a student's award. Your eligibility may impact a student's award. And note that all of the offers that are provided to the students are tentative, provisional, final, or that they're missing information, and before they can make it final or tentative, they're going to need certain information before they can continue to provide you with the actual resources. So bottom line is it's literally an offer, and you can reject everything. You can reject some of it. You can reject or accept all of it, or accept only certain things. I know that, as I mentioned before, some parents don't want their students working, so they're not going to accept the work study. But my thought is, you know what? Accept the work study. You don't really know if the students are going to work. They may decide after the fall semester, and now they're in the spring, that they do want to work. So don't deny it, accept it. Again, it's not a binding agreement that the student will work or has to work. And again, remember, it does not come off the bill. I've seen people who don't read it, the actual award letter, and just take off that $1,500 for the fall semester, and the next thing they're getting a bill for $1,500 because they didn't pay their full bill. So make sure that you read the instructions. And again, if there's any changes in circumstances, please, please, please let each of the schools that your students looking at know. Put it in writing, because you're going to have to put it in writing anyway. So I think that that's really important to do. My suggestion also, when you're looking at a school, and financial aid is going to be a big piece of the students of being able to attend that school, make sure you have a contact within that financial aid office. If you have a chance to visit a school, which is very difficult, and I know from Hawaii it's even that much more difficult, but look at their website, look at the staff that work in the office, reach out and ask if you can speak to one of the directors there, and then get their name and their contact information, and make sure that you ask them if you have questions down the road. When you receive your financial aid package, may you give them a call. And more than likely that will be completely fine. But when I do presentations, one of the things I ask about for families that have been to visit campuses, did they stop in financial aid? And 1 out of 10 will have done that. But most people aren't looking at that. They're just looking at the schools. And then they'll deal with the financial aid when the student's a senior. And usually by that time, it's a little late. So those are pretty much a lot of the things that I would suggest that you do. Some common questions is ask financial aid. Will this financial aid package be the same all 4 years? Will my financial aid increase over the 4 years? Again, some schools will, some schools won't. A majority of schools, whatever the student enters that school with, is what they will remain with over the course of the next 4 years. So you want to make sure. What changes in my situation may affect my award? Maybe there's an increase in income, so you may see a decline in the grant, need-based grant. Nothing with the scholarship, but the need-based grant. What if your income has gone down? Again, you'll see the same financial aid package, but if you're looking for additional money, you have to write the letter asking to be reconsidered based upon the fact that there's a lower income. Number of siblings may have changed over the course of the year. Originally, maybe you had 2, now you're down to 1. So that's going to impact the student's financial aid award. What else? Again, the scholarship. Will that increase? Say your student has a 4.0 after the first year, and they were originally given $20,000, and you think that they should be entitled to more because they've done well. Most schools won't. It'll be the same, but again, you don't know unless you ask. So make sure that you do that. And one of the things, if I'm not living on campus, why is housing part of my cost of attendance? Because we always know that if you're commuting, even if you're living home with your parents, they still have to put food on your table. You're still going to have a bed to sleep in, a roof over your head. So there are expenses. And even if a student lives off campus, maybe it's not the same charge or expenses as if a student's living on campus, but they're still paying rent, they're still paying utilities. So we do also take that into account. And the last one is, when do I get my money? When do I get my financial aid? It's after the last opportunity that a student can be refunded if they drop credits, tuition refund time is done. So usually that's within 3 weeks of the start of the semester, and then financial aid will be put on a student's account. So some of the questions that have come through, can you expand on how those in the gap financial situation with a high AFC, but family is a high cost of living area, example, Hawaii, to afford this cost of attendance specific to a school. Again, when you're completing the FAFSA is aware of the different states that the cost of living is high. California, Hawaii, New York, they do take that into account of the state you live in and the taxes that you pay. However, if you feel very strongly about it, again, write a letter to the financial aid office, to the contact person that you've become familiar with because you've been in contact with them. Let them know that you're really concerned based upon, it costs a lot of money for people to live in Hawaii. And can they take that into account when they're putting together the student's financial aid package? Next, I hope I answered that. Does everything mentioned also apply to international students? Yes, the aid not the aid package. Your financial aid award package will be the same. However, students are not entitled to federal and state grants or scholarships for, hold on. Sorry, I had a blip, so I apologize. Yes, so you will get a financial aid award letter. There will be international or merit-based scholarship for the student if they're eligible. But again, international students are not eligible for federally funded grants, loans, and work opportunity. Next question, what is the President's Scholarship? What is the difference between Perkins and Stafford? So every one of our colleges and universities will have a different name for academic or merit-based scholarships. At Marist, we call it the Presidential Scholarship. Other schools will call it something that pertains to their school. There may be an alumni scholarship. So again, every one of our schools is different. And I suggest again that you check out the financial aid pages, the admission pages that the schools the students are looking at to see what kind of things that they offer for their students. And then the Perkins loan and the Stafford loan. Stafford loan, every student can apply for one. The Perkins loan, like SCOG, is a pool of money each school is given, or certain schools are given. And then they figure out who to provide the resources with. Most schools don't have that anymore. Perkins seems to be a fading loan for students. How does the CSS profile factor into the financial aid award? Would it be weighed more heavily than the FAFSA if the college requests both? Yes. I am not a fan of the profile. It is a very cumbersome form to complete. However, many schools do require it. Out of approximately close to 4,000 colleges and universities, maybe 350, 360 schools require the profile. I know at Marist we do not. The difference between the two is that FAFSA, all students who want to apply for financial aid at any school needs to complete it. The profile is for institutional resources only, not for federal, not for state, just for the schools. So if a school meets a student's need 100%, more than likely, they will require the CSS profile. So the one example that I can share that gives you a much more reflected is a single parent household. On the FAFSA right now, because they will change it, we all know that. On the FAFSA, everything is based upon the custodial parent with whom the student resides, not the parent who claimed the student on the tax return. This is for single parent household. The only thing that they're going to require of the non-custodial parent is the amount of child support that's paid. On the profile, they want all the information on the non-custodial parent. If they've remarried, then they want that information as well. On the FAFSA, they do not look at the value of your home where you reside. However, if you have rental property, if you have a second home, that will be included. But on the profile, your permanent home is looked at, as well as all of your second home rental properties. So needless to say, the contribution for the profile is going to be higher than the FAFSA. And that's what the schools want, because then that's less money they have to give you if they meet your need 100%. So that's really the difference. And again, the profile is only used for school to determine how to use their own school funds, not federal, not state. Another question, and we're running out of time. I understand that the CSS was originally intended for merit aid beyond financial aid, but could you expand on schools that often use the CSF to supplement evaluation of additional financial aid specific to the school? Again, I think I've kind of explained that, but all students need to complete the FAFSA to apply for federal, state, and institutional funds, but schools that require the CSS profile, they want additional information, and those are schools that tend to meet the students' need 100%. So again, that's why they require it. USC, Stanford, the Ivies, they all require the profile. You can Google schools that require the profile, and you'll get the list of the ones that do. So again, make sure that you do the research, check all the schools that the students are looking at, look at their financial aid pages, see what they offer, see what kind of scholarships are offered, what they're named. Do they have to apply separately for a scholarship, or is it part of their acceptance letter? Thank you so much for your time. Let me just make sure I've answered all the questions. Another one is the international, will I have the same financial aid opportunity? No. So again, check with the schools that the students are looking at. All right, so that's basically it. If you have any additional questions, please let me know, and I'm happy to answer. And in the chat, I will provide you with my contact information. So if you would like to reach out to me if you have any additional questions, if you want to learn about Marist, make sure to come visit me at the college fair. And other than that, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Corinne. Real quick, I think what you sent in the chat went just to panelists.
Again, we spoke about that, and I still did it.
It's easy to do. That's why it's worth talking about. Well, while she's putting that info into the chat for all of you, I want to thank you all for joining us for this session. When you close this window, there will be a link to a quick 4-question survey, and we appreciate any feedback that you can provide. Also, this is just one of many sessions being hosted. 6x6 College Fair is coming up in about 45 minutes or so, so be sure to sign up for those additional sessions. If you've not done so already, you can do that at the same place you signed up for this one. And in about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording, as well as all of the other sessions recordings at strivescan.com/Hawaii. Once again, Thank you so much for attending and being part of this. I want to thank Corinne for presenting today. Thank you all and have a great rest of your Saturday. Take care.
Bye.